productive. So now we'll hear from some of our partners and some of their updates. So the first one is Dr. Magnus Hansson. He's a Chief Medical Officer at Abliva.
Thank you very much, Sophia. And well, congratulations on the great work on the registry. It is so important. So, and we actually had a lot of help of registries when we designed our clinical trial for our main compound, KL1333. So do you all see my full screen?
Yes, we can see.
Thanks. So yeah, thanks again for inviting us to give these brief updates in this industry panel. So Abliva, we are a small biotech company located in Sweden, in Northern Europe. And our mission is stated on this slide to target the powerhouse of cells to improve the lives of mitochondrial disease patients. And we do that by development of new medications. So our main program, KL1333, is now in a phase 2 trial called the Falcon study, but this is for adults with mitochondrial DNA associated disease. And then our second program is MV354, and that was developed with Leigh patients in mind. So the idea actually came from working with cells from Leigh patients. So these two programs both have novel mechanisms of action, and they are different from each other. So KL1333, our adult program, targets NAD plus, NADH. So trying to rebalance the ratio of that, because that's important for normal energy regulation, and also can stimulate what we heard previously, so-called mitochondrial biogenesis, to boost production of more mitochondria and normal energy production. So this is now in a study, phase 2 study for assessing fatigue and myopathy. MV354, on the other hand, it's a prodrug of succinate, which is an endogenous energy substrate, part of metabolism, and that is metabolized by complex 2 in the mitochondria, and that pathway is often intact in mitochondrial disease. So, and this program targets neurological symptoms, especially in children, including Leigh syndrome. So some highlights in September. We know it's the World Mitochondrial Disease Week, but we've had some other news. We recently received Fast Track designation by the FDA for KL1333. So this is a recognition of the high unmet medical need in mitochondrial disease. And we've also had very good progress in our phase 2 study in adults, the Falcon study. We have activated all the 18 sites we plan to activate during the first phase of that trial. So recruitment is actually progressing as expected. So we are on track to complete the first part of recruitment to this trial by the end of this year, and we'll have an interim analysis by the mid of next year. So that phase 2 trial in adults targets fatigue and myopathy, and there we actually had to develop a new questionnaire to be targeting fatigue as a primary endpoint, because none of the previous ones were fit for purpose to assess this as a primary endpoint. So, and that is now being used, and it's used in a decentralized and digitalized way. So patients respond to this questionnaire. It's only 9 questions each week. And this is also an opportunity to include this in, for instance, registries. This is not proprietary by us. It's owned by the Promise Health organization, part of Northwestern University, and it's free for use in English and a small fee in other languages. So with our long experience in mitochondrial research and also now drug development, we are really focused to become a leader in mitochondrial medicine and try to target as many different subgroups of mitochondrial disease as we can. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was very interesting. And our next talk is from Dr. Dave Panake. He's the CEO of Saol Therapeutics.
All right. Thank you. Yes, so I'm Dave Panake. I'm the CEO at Saol Therapeutics. Kind of funny, we have a picture of a sailboat on the front. Our company name is Saol. We are an Irish company. We have offices in Dublin and outside of Atlanta, and Saol means life in Gaelic. But no one can pronounce that because not a lot of people speak Gaelic. So we put sailboats all over everything we have, and hope you have the opportunity to enjoy it. If I go to the next slide. We've been very busy, and the whole mitochondrial disease community has been very busy. If you follow LinkedIn or the social aspects of what's going on, there is a ton happening right now. And there's a lot happening in PDCD, which is very closely related to Leigh syndrome. Right now, we just recently finished investing in a robust epidemiology assessment of pyruvate dehydrogenase complex deficiency. Historically, people have kind of said it's about 1 in a million. We found out that there are quite a bit more people affected by PDCD, and we'll share that with you today. We've partnered with Hope for PDCD on a diagnostic journey survey to help better understand what's happening and how families are battling PDCD, trying to find the opportunity to become diagnosed and treated. We've completed a clinical trial, so we're in that very stressful period of the trial is done. We can't do anything more about it. No more patients to enroll, but we do not have the results yet. So sometime in the next week or two, we should expect results from this study. Hopefully those results will be positive and we'll be able to move towards filing for approval. And with that, we've seen many more emergency IND requests come up. So as physicians have become aware of our study and that it's completed, we've seen patient requests come in that come from a variety of mitochondrial diseases that where there's not a treatment option, requesting access to our current medicine that we're studying on an emergency basis on a one-on-one investigational study. And so all this together is just, we're humbled by the families that have participated in the study, by the physicians that have helped. There's been an FDA listening session in the last 2 weeks on PDCD. There have been, the House of Representatives have discussed PDCD and diagnosis. So, all the work that's being done in the mitochondrial community has really been building and has culminated at least in the PDCD group recently. And we've seen all the information that Keramedjian is doing with Leigh syndrome. So as we discussed, we went out and tried to find out how many people in the United States, potentially suffer from PDCD. We think the United States is a good marker of the number of people who have it worldwide. In short, people used to think it was about 300. The best assessment that we have is there are about 2,000 patients in the United States that have PDCD, about half of whom are undiagnosed. And then the overlap between PDCD and Leigh syndrome is pretty significant. So about 25 to 35% of PDCD patients also have signs of Leigh syndrome. That the Leigh syndrome community is larger than PDCD. So, it's obviously a smaller portion of overlap going the other way. But for us, what we've been focused on is the study for PDCD. Should that be successful, then we want to try and understand, who are all the other potential patients that could be helped with our medicine. And so, if we look at Leigh syndrome, generally speaking, we see all the different genetic variations that could drive a Leigh syndrome diagnosis. We see that PDHA1, which is the most common genetic defect in PDCD, is number 5 on the list of Leigh syndrome genetic causes of Leigh syndrome. So the question for us is, should we be successful here, in thinking about engaging with the Leigh syndrome community? We're pretty sure that some of these defects may respond to our medicine, and probably some of them won't. And so the question is, if we get to the point where we have approval and we start studying this in other areas and expanding into Leigh syndrome, how do we work with the right physicians, the right community, to be able to identify the patients that might benefit the most from this treatment? Excuse me. Sorry, my screen stopped sharing. 1 second. There we go. The last thing we did is we did this survey with Hope for PDCD on the diagnostic journey. And what we're really trying to understand is, who are the physicians? What are the common misdiagnoses that take place? And as one can imagine, there are a lot of misdiagnoses with mitochondrial disorders. They're also really commonly misdiagnosed with cerebral palsy and epilepsy. So we've started to go down the path of trying to understand, in addition to the pediatric geneticists and experts in this space, from a pediatric neurology standpoint, who are the types of physicians that would be, seeing these patients, and how do we help better understand how to sort of properly diagnose people that might be, being treated for cerebral palsy or epilepsy, but actually have an underlying mitochondrial genetic defect that's driving this diagnosis. So, as we move forward here, we're hoping to have, in the next few weeks, have some data that will tell us if the medicine is helping people, which we really hope it is. If that's the case, we plan to very shortly, call it in the next 3 to 6 months, file for approval of that. We have rare disease and pediatric rare disease designation, and we'd be filing for breakthrough status. So we would expect a fast turnaround from the agency. And hopefully at the start of 2025, the end of 2024, we'll have an approved medication on the market for PDCD. And then we'll be able to look for other places where we might be able to, potentially treat people that could see benefit from the medicine.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dave. I just want to add, Dave mentioned that there's an overlap between Leigh syndrome and PDCD. And so we are actually working with Hope for PDCD Foundation, so that hopefully we can have a patient registry on the same registry platform as our Leigh syndrome registry. And the way it would work is that patients would have to enroll only once. They would fill out a general survey only once. And then if they have Leigh syndrome, they would fill out a Leigh syndrome survey. If they have PDCD, they would do a PDCD survey, or if they have both, they would do both. But the burden on the patient would be significantly less, and our data would be in the same format, so it'd be very well aligned. So I want to thank Francis from Hope for PDCD Foundation for being really collaborative and talking to us about how to make this most efficient for patients and for the data that we're getting. And I want to thank again Dave and Saol for support of Keramedjian.
Yeah, we're happy to help. I mean, everyone's supporting us, right? So we're trying to see if this works, and we'd certainly like to be participating in these things in the future, and then definitely should we have success here. So fingers crossed, and thank you for your time. Happy to answer any questions later.
Thank you. And now we are going to hear from Dr. Tong. She's a vice president in Astellas. Dr. Tong, I don't know if you're speaking. We can't hear you. Possibly you're on mute. We can't hear anything.
How about now? Can you hear me okay?
Oh, just now here. Yes.
All right. Sorry about the technical difficulty. So one slide about my company. Astellas is a specialty global pharmaceutical company. It's actually a Japanese company. We're formed via the merger of two Japanese companies, Yamanouchi and Fujisawa, in 2005. And headquarters is in Japan. I am based in Northbrook, Illinois, and Northbrook is where the global development headquarters is for Astellas. We have a unique, as a company, we have a unique science-first approach. And we have 5 primary focus areas. That's where we continue to grow the expertise in emerging areas of discovery research. Now switch to primary focus mitochondria. Our vision is to transform mitochondrial science into hope and solutions for patients and their families. And we focus in 2 biology areas and 1 technology area to generate new assets in this primary focus area. We focus on mitochondrial biology, and we also focus on autophagy research. Autophagy includes mitophagy, which is the cellular mechanism clearing damaged mitochondria. But we also have research program target master autophagy regulators. For protein homeostasis, this is a technology platform we recently acquired the expertise via research collaboration with Generia. We generate small molecules that can actually degrade or stabilize target proteins. We have a unique indication selection approach where we choose indications with high unmet medical needs. Those include mitochondrial diseases where our biology can actually really modulate the disease pathophysiology, and the mechanism of action of our molecules are causal in the diseases. We have 2 research affiliates that continuously generate new assets and new programs. MitoBridge is a company based in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and NANA is a research affiliate based in Cambridge in the UK. And this slide shows the mitochondrial research where we are actually actively pursuing. We have the lead program that is ASP0367. This is the lead molecule currently in phase 2 clinical development for mitochondrial myopathies. And this is one of the program targeting mitochondrial biogenesis. We also have a molecule 5502, which is a STING antagonist, which is in IND enabling stage. And this is one of the pathways in mitochondrial stress. We also have a BAC1 inhibitor in discovery stage for mitochondrial stress. Other research programs include NAD metabolism, mitochondrial dynamics. This includes mitophagy, fission, fusion. This is one slide showing the current portfolio. As I mentioned, our lead molecule is a small molecule targeting PPA delta pathway. It's a PPA delta modulator. It is in phase 2 clinical development targeting primary mitochondrial myopathies. And we also have phase 1 program targeting muscular dystrophy. Duchenne muscular dystrophy was the lead indication, but we're evaluating strategy to perhaps broadening the targeted population for muscular dystrophy indications. The next molecule will be 5502, targeting autoimmune diseases. Now for this forum, I wanted to briefly talk about our development approach. Personally, I am a clinical pharmacologist by training. I've worked in industry in clinical development for over 20 years. I see for rare diseases, there is this unique need to closely communicate between pharmaceutical drug developers as well and patient advocacy group. So in our approach, we work hand in hand with patient advocacy communities such as Keramedjian. We embed patient experience insights in our entire research and development cycle. We want to nurture an inclusive and strong relationship. And this diagram shows really our patient-centric drug development approach, and start from the upper left corner, understanding the real-world need. So we have different approaches. You've heard from Astellas' commitment into building patient registry. In addition, for every program, we have a patient-centric team that actually directly interview patients to gather your insight on what symptoms matter to you the most. And we turn those symptoms into clinical endpoints for use in our program. We also ask patients what is their expectation and risk tolerance for new therapy. We turn those insights into a target product for our research and development. We co-create strategy solution with patients, which means We turn the insights into target product profile. We design our clinical program, design our trials with input from patients. And we continue to strive for product that will deliver care and solutions through our product. Building a community of all the healthcare stakeholders is very important to us. This includes patients, their families, include the physicians, as well as regulators. And this is through the collaboration with patient advocacy groups such as the Keramedjian Foundation. And through the life cycle management, we wanted to make sure the patient invoices are continuously heard as we progress our clinical development and ultimately market our product. The last couple of slides is on 0367. That's our lead molecule. Perhaps in a brief summary, what this PPA delta modulator does is actually enhancing how our cells burn fatty acid to generate energy. In scientific term, the molecule increased mitochondrial biogenesis and fatty acid oxidation. It also reduced inflammation. As a result, it increased skeletal muscle endurance and improved symptoms. For muscular dystrophy, this is not a primary mitochondrial disease, but those patients do have the cellular phenotype of mitochondrial deficiency. And those deficiencies are critical for their disease, are causal in their disease rather than a byproduct of their disease. That's why we also are actively pursuing a development program for 0367 for muscular dystrophy diseases. This is my last slide. In summary, in primary focus mitochondria at Astellas, our goal is to discover and develop and bring to market therapies that really transform the outcome for patients. And we treat diseases with our product where the product have the potential to change the root causes of these diseases and transform the science into hope and solutions for patients and their families. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much. And we are also so grateful to Astellas for your support and your collaboration with us. And the next speaker is Janice Keramedjian from Mytolife Therapeutics.
Thank you, Sophia. And thank you for inviting me to participate in this symposium. It's just an honor to be here. As Sophia said, my name is Janice Keramedjian, and I am the Executive Vice President of Mytolife Therapeutics. I have technical issues today where I am not able to share my screen with you, but I am more than able to share our passion as a company. We are a biotech startup whose mission is to target the underlying molecular mechanisms of mitochondrial dysfunction. Our team consists of Todd Durbin, CEO and serial entrepreneur, who has more than 30 years of experience in the medtech and biotech space. Our SAB is formidable, headed by the chairman, Volkmar Weissig, who I know is participating today. So hello, Volkmar. He is unparalleled in his accomplishments, including being the president of the World Mitochondrial Society. Mark Olson, PhD, who is a medicinal chemist and associate professor at Midwestern University in Glendale, Arizona. Michal Malowitz, PhD, who is also director of the Biotech Research Center in Leicester, England, and Marnie Falk, who also sits on our advisory board, who needs no introduction. She is, of course, the professor of pediatrics at CHOP and University of Pennsylvania Perelman School of Medicine. She is the touch point in this field, as you all know. I invite you all to see the slides that I wish I could share with you today through our website at mytolife.com to learn more about each of our staff and our team. And you'll see very quickly why we intend to be the front runner in mitochondrial therapeutic development. Many biotech companies talk about the cure. We are focused on managing symptoms, slowing disease progression, and ultimately helping patients lead healthier lives. We chose to concentrate our initial efforts on Leigh syndrome, and Sophia has been so widely accepting of us in this space that we owe her a debt of gratitude. I think it's because we've shown ourselves to be very authentic in our mission. Through the efforts of our community, we partnered with other patient organizations and parent organizations, such as Mito Action, UMDF, CHOP, and the Wellcome Center for Mitochondrial Research, which I am learning how to do the Twitter Tuesday today, which has been really just a great event. And so much retweeting is getting the ball rolling and keeping the ball rolling for the next 2 days to get the awareness of Mitochondrial Awareness Week in everybody's thoughts. This past month, I had the great pleasure of going to a charity event honoring Mito family. The love and commitment of a 10-year mourning period for this child with Leigh syndrome that passed away gave me a renewed effort and a renewed interest in making sure that Mytolife was a company that was authentic, that we could bring hope and we could bring information to parents and parent organizations, that we are out there fighting the fight with them. It was an incredible experience to see all of the love and commitment in just a short period of time for this event, and all of you that have participated in events this year and in the coming year. Every voice, every dollar, everything that you do makes a huge difference. Even if you think you're a small part of it, you're actually a gigantic part of it. The continued commitment to further the outreach is something that is important to Mytolife Therapeutics. Our involvement and our interest in learning as much as we can about the families and the patients and parents drives the research that we intend to do. We consider Mytolife to be a legacy company. In the short term, we believe we can improve patient outcomes on small levels in order to make important and meaningful impacts. The prognosis for Leigh patients, as you know, is poor, but you also know that any small incremental improvement that we can make is huge, and that's what we intend to do. We want to make the impact on a daily level be significant enough that we can extend life as best we can, and also just improve daily life skills so that there's just more time and better time. That's important to us, all of the small incremental changes that we can make. So as we continue our therapeutic development, we intend to move into other rare and orphan diseases, much like everybody else, and do the same thing, hope for better outcomes in the short term, with aspirations for progress for the future. As we move toward acquisitions and clinical trials, you'll hear more about us, but for now, we're honored to be among this esteemed and committed Mito community. I'm personally committed to meeting more Mito families, and with Sophia's help and other organizations that we have been partnered with, I feel very confident that we'll be able to do that. It is important to keep this fight, and I say it with my whole heart that it is a fight, but it's a fight worth fighting. We want to keep it on everybody's minds. We want to keep it in the forefront of organizations. We want to keep it on the forefront of companies that can help. We want to be a part of this team and be a part of this community, because we know that we are so much stronger together. And I've never seen anything quite like it, where there has been sharing of information so freely. And like everybody has said, the more collaborative, the better off we are. And we hope to be a part of that as well. And so far, I think we're off to a great start. So thank you again, Sophia, for inviting me. And I look forward to working with all of you. So thank you very much. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much, Janice. Now we are going to hear from Minyoung. She's a principal scientist at Standigm.
Hi, it's a very pleasure to be here today. My name is Minyoung. I have been leading the primary mitochondrial disease program in Standigm. Today, I'd like to introduce our drug repurposing program for mitochondrial disease and share the lesson we've got learned during mito drug development. Standigm is an AI-based drug discovery company. We covered the whole life cycle of drug discovery and early stage of drug development. We are a small but global company. We have several different disease pipelines. Among them, we have primary mitochondrial disease pipeline, and it has two projects. One is a drug repurposing project, and the other is new small molecule drug design project. We thought AI-based drug repurposing approach would be very beneficial to rare diseases because both AI repurposing and AI technology can save drug development time and cost. We built two new models on top of our original drug repurposing platform to utilize it for mitochondrial disease. And finally, the model predicted 35 drugs which present structural and functional features of these seed molecules. And we got a lead compound through experimental validation. Here are some selected data of our lead compound. Our lead compound has shown efficacy in several different lead syndrome models by the successful collaboration with Dr. Marnie Folk's research groups in CHOP. In addition to these data, although data was not shown here, the compound reduced the lactate amount in Leigh hybrid cells and increased the viability in cells from Leigh patient. Currently, we are preparing for IND to start clinical research in Korea. We indeed saved a lot of time and cost by skipping drug screening and design and some preclinical studies. But there were challenges because the drug property of the existing drugs were already given and couldn't be changed or required more drug cost if we wanted to adjust it to mitodrug. A long story short, drug repurposing approaches usually focus on the discovery of the desirable new indication, but for the drug repurposing research for mitochondrial disease, the real saving of time and cost will be made when we understand mitodrug properties, targeted mitochondrial disease, and its clinical trials before we design the repurposing research. Standigm continued to work on primary mitochondrial disease. Last April, we had an MOU with Curum Biosciences, which is a mitochondria-focusing pharmaceutical company. Curum and Standigm are now working together on new drug for primary mitochondrial disease. We deeply thank our external research partner, CHOP, Kyunghee University, and Curum. And a few days ago, Standigm had a Green Ribbon event to raise mitochondrial disease awareness. You can see the green ribbons and our genuine Korean finger heart in these photos. Drug development for mitochondrial disease is indeed challenging, but Standigm and our collaborators will never stop breaking through the challenges with all our heart.